of our 4 walkabouts in search for the 4th bishop of the Diocese of El Camino Real. We're thrilled to be here today. My name is Mary Ann G. I'm a member of the Transition Committee. And on behalf of the entire diocese, we want to thank you for being here today and participating in the process. At this time, I would like to welcome and introduce to you the Reverend Time, the rector here at St. Barnabas.
Also the acolyte, apparently.
And acolyte.
Am I praying?
Yes, you pray.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Creator of the universe and creator of each one of us, you hold us in your embrace and you love us. And that love never changes. There's nothing that we can do to increase or decrease that love. You love each and every one of us here and each and every one of us in this universe. Thank you for that love. Thank you for demonstrating that love daily to us even when we don't see it. Please be with us as we walk the journey of our diocese and our church, as we figure out the next steps that we need to be taking here in El Camino Real, as we figure out how we can be the hands and feet and voice of Jesus here in San Luis Obispo County and beyond. Be with us, be with our candidates, help us discern, help them discern. Help us open our voices to say what needs to be said and open our ears to hear. And not only hear from the words, but also in that broader way as well. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ron. And thank you so very much to everyone here at St. Barnabas. The hospitality has been outstanding, and we are just so grateful to everyone here. So please join me in thanking everyone here at St. Barnabas. There are a few groups of people that I'd like to take a couple of minutes to thank. First of all, our standing committee, which has had oversight of the entire process from the start to the finish when we consecrate our bishop-elect next January. I want to thank everyone on the standing committee, and in particular, their current president, the Reverend Shelley Denny, their past president, the Reverend Carol Hall, who started this process and was a part of choosing everyone on the committees, and our standing committee liaison to the transition team, the Reverend Catherine Dorr. So if you are a member or past member of standing committee, please stand up. Our search committee has done wonderful, spirit-filled, difficult work in moving through many, many different applications to finally giving us our 5 wonderful candidates that we have today. We're so thankful to everyone on the search committee, and in particular their co-chairs, the Reverend Barbara Miller and Mr. Joe Head. So if you serve on search committee, would you please stand? And finally, transition team. We began our work in earnest in November. It went into high gear the day that the slate was announced, and transition has the job of taking us all the way through to the consecration next January. So it doesn't end at the end of this week. We're grateful. I am incredibly grateful to the committee that I've had the privilege to work with over these past few months. In particular, I want to recognize not only our entire committee, but also our co-chairs, Ms. Laura Learned, who's from this deanery, and Mr. Timothy G. So if you're a member of the transition team, please stand up. I also want to recognize Jeanette Safranco, who's also a part of this deanery. Thank you very much. lastly are shepherds. Shepherds are individuals who walk side by side with our candidates from the moment the slate is announced. It's a very important job because they really are the person who is the liaison between the diocese and the candidate. They're there to answer questions. They're there just to be quiet with the candidate if that's what they need. So we're very grateful to the 5 individuals who have offered to serve as shepherds. And so if you are a shepherd, if you would please stand up. Thank you very much. So when you arrived today, can you all hear me? I feel like I'm going in and out. So when you arrived today, many of you, but not all of you, got a colored slip of paper. That piece of paper indicates which room you are to go to when we're done with our session, our plenary session here. Now, for those of you that didn't, you're going to stay right here in the church. So don't think that you're being left out. You're not going to hear the answers to the questions. You're just going to stay here in the church. So when we're done with our opening session, we're going to give you approximately 10 minutes to move to your room. And there will be 5 question and answer sessions. Each session will be 25 minutes in length, and each room will have a room moderator and a timekeeper. I want to make sure that you understand that the questions asked in one room are the same questions asked in every room. So there's no need to be going from room to room to see, am I going to hear a better question in that room? So when you get to a room, please stay put, because you're going to hear the same questions in every room. And once the walkabout is over today, those questions will be retired and will not be asked at any other walkabout. So we are videoing, as you can see, we have a couple of cameras here today. We are videotaping one room of each walkabout. And we encourage you, the middle to end of next week, we will be putting up these videos on the diocesan site so that you will have the ability to see not only the walkabout that you attended, but the other walkabouts that you did not attend. So if you so choose, you'll be able to see 24 questions in total being answered. Now, in each small group room, the moderator is going to ask 6 questions. And by the way, I want to thank many of you who submitted questions to us. Overall, we received a little over 80 questions. So it was a great depth of questions that we were able to discern through, our team went through, and we just want to thank you so very much for your participation. So we asked the candidates to answer the question in a 3-minute time frame. Now, we're not going to cut them off if they go over. But we will have the timekeeper's job is to keep the candidate on track. So we're asking them to respond in 3 minutes. At 2.5 minutes, the timekeeper will raise a yellow card. Yes, thank you, timekeepers. And then at time, or at 3 minutes, they will raise a red card. And they will keep the red card up until the candidate has completed. Okay, I'll just go sit down. Until they've completed their response. Once the candidate is done with their response, the moderator will go to the next question. There is no follow-ups to whatever the candidate just said. Now, when we're done with all 6 planned questions, there may or may not be time left over in the session. If there is time left over, the room moderator will entertain a question from the floor. If there isn't at least 4 minutes left in the session, we will end the session at that time. At the end of all 5 sessions, we invite you to join us in the parish hall for 30 minutes of hospitality time. This is your time to meet and greet our candidates and get a little bit of refreshment. So we hope that we see you all there. If at any point you need any assistance of any kind, please see anyone with a name badge. If they can't answer your question, they'll find someone who can. And I also wanted to go through the rooms. And Rob, if you would help me with this. Do we need a new battery? Okay. So, I'll just speak in my girl voice, or my outdoor voice. If you have the pink slip of paper, you're in the choir room. The easiest way to get there is right through that door. The orange room and the green room are through the courtyard. So best exit either the church doors or the side and go through. I think many of you can see the green. Thank you very much. The green door there, and then the orange is very close to that. So pretty simple. Everything is very close by. And lastly, we ask for your continued prayers. We ask you to pray for our candidates and their families. We ask you to pray for the transition team. We ask you to pray for Bishop Mary and also for the diocese. And now it is my great honor to introduce to you our 5 candidates. And first, okay, I want to make sure I'm not blocking anyone. From the Diocese of from the Diocese of San Diego, the Reverend Janine Schenone. From the Diocese of El Camino Real, the Reverend Channing Smith. From the Diocese of Fort Worth, the Reverend Canon Janet Waggoner. From the Diocese of Michigan, the Reverend Deon Johnson. And from the Diocese of Idaho, the Reverend Canon Lucinda Ashby. Welcome, everyone. Now, we will enjoy hearing their opening statements.
Good evening, everybody. My second ordination was 7 years ago. My first ordination was in my childhood in this diocese as a young Catholic baby. And if you had told me that I would be standing here today, standing for bishop with these worthy candidates, I would have told you that's insane. But during those years of lay ministry, I served in a variety of leadership roles for 25 years in Catholic and Episcopal churches as EFM mentor, as a youth group leader, as a Bible study leader, a retreat leader, and a choir member and choir director. When I served in one Catholic church in this diocese of Mountain View, we sang songs in Vietnamese, Tagalog, Spanish, German, Italian, and even English, because it was a very multicultural church. Now granted, that multiculturalism came from a long history of colonialism in the church's history. And yet, in the present day, there is that rich multiculturalism that sort of prefigures the heaven that God wants all of us to experience. I moved to the Episcopal Church in 2003 and recollected my childhood experience of feeling called to the priesthood. And I have found joy in the Episcopal Church, and yet I'm still searching for that Sunday of my youth. I know other people searching for Sundays. I know people who are looking for a church that will love and include them just the way they are. I know a lot of parents, young parents, older parents, grandparents, single parents, who really want a spiritual upbringing for their children, but they're working so many jobs to survive in this diocese that they're exhausted on Sundays, if they're not working on Sunday, and they can't get their kids to church, or they don't take them to soccer. They want Sunday, but they can't have it on Sunday. They need it someday, or any other day. I know people crossing our 7 borders, and they're looking for Sunday. They're released from detention with an electronic bracelet around their ankles, and the look in their eyes is a look of terror and exhaustion, and they're searching for Sundays. hoping to be included. And I've also met seekers who are looking for something they would call Sunday. They would call it meaning and purpose. That same meaning and purpose that you and I find walking with Jesus. And so I'm walking here with you tonight because I sense that you're searching for some of the same things. And I look forward to our journey of exploration. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janine Smith. I'm the rector at St. Andrews in Saratoga. It's a church and school right here in our own diocese. I am married for 28 years to Mary Richards. She's a licensed psychotherapist. May will be our anniversary month, so this month is a special month for us. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Olivia, and she's the light of our life, as I'm sure your kids are as well, but she had something she wanted to tell me. They couldn't be here tonight. Olivia is just about to go to sleep right now. But she learned how to ride a bike this weekend without training wheels. And so she wanted to make sure before we did anything that I let you all know that. So I'm using my own household. By way of introducing myself, I want to go back to my first moment of thinking about ordained ministry. In my home church, my home Episcopal church, there was a Bible study for teenagers that was being offered. I thought the Bible was holy. I was curious about it, so I went. Surprise, surprise, I was the only teenager who showed up. But the leader and I formed a wonderful relationship, and each Sunday we would walk our way through the gospel stories, share our own impressions of that, raise our questions, and talk about how to live faithfully into it. One day he asked me what I would consider doing after college, and I said I had no idea how to answer that question. He said, I think you should consider the ministry. I think you'd be very good at it. So I figured I must be doing something right in that class for him to say something like that. So that summer I was thinking about these passages, and they brought a certain sense of peace and God's awareness and my awareness of God in that moment. And then I felt a strong sense of love fill my heart and my mind. And in that moment I heard God calling me to be an Episcopal priest. Now I had never had or heard of this experience before. And I thought if I shared this with my parents, that they would somehow psychologically test me, or hearing voices or something like that. But I shared it with my grandparents, and then they encouraged me to share it with my parents and friends and so on. My reason for sharing this with you is that my moment, the spark that led to my ordination, started in the smallest possible church community, a community of 2. It really was an experience where 2 or 3 are gathered together. I will be in the midst of them. And ever since I've had that experience, I've carried with me the idea, the hope, the awareness that in every conversation, in every Bible study, every gathering, every worship service, there is the potential for God to break in, to inform and redirect our life. Now I feel, and I've heard from you, that our diocese is feeling that same sense of potential. We talk about becoming the church that does not yet exist. We've hired Kelsey Davis as our curator for emerging communities. We say we want to be a learning community. As attributes for our bishop are visionary and relational. This is a time for our discovery. My daughter Olivia, at 3 years old, we were at dinner, and she took a piece of bread and she went like this and broke it in half. And she said, Olivia. And I knew what she was doing. And so we looked at each other a little strangely, Mary and I. And so I raised this up, and she was mimicking what I do at the Eucharist, right? Raising this up and saying, Alleluia. But she thought I was saying Olivia. I thought, what a wonderful mistake. You know, she had read her own story, her own name, into this sacred rhythm of the church, into God's unfolding story. This feels like a similar moment for us to further discover who we are as a diocese in God's unfolding story. To discover who we are as congregations in God's unfolding story. Who we are personally, and answer that ultimate baptismal question, what am I here to do in God's unfolding story? I look forward to tonight, to the ways in which the Spirit will infuse, inform, and redirect our life together. Thank you. Grateful to be here.
Good evening.
husband, Dr. Ed Waggoner. My better and more learned half. He is a theology professor at Wright Divinity School in Fort Worth, Texas. I am here because the love of God has changed and shaped my life and given me a vision and a hope that in partnering with other Episcopalians and people of faith in our communities, we can change the world. I believe that is what our congregations are supposed to be, havens of hope where the dream of God gathers among us and bursts out through our lives and the work that we do together in really amazing and surprising ways. For example, you may have noticed my hair. So my hair has a story, and the story is this, that I lost a bet. I lost a bet 10 years ago that I desperately wanted to lose. Our congregation, I was a rector in Shelton, Connecticut, of a lovely congregation. We were raising money for the restoration of our historic old church, which will be 300 years old 2 years from now. We're raising money, and we were $20,000 short, and we had a deadline. So really, on a whim, it just came to me. I stood up in front of the church on Sunday morning and said, if you raise $20,000 in the next 2 weeks, I will let the youth choose any color they want for my hair. And in a week, they had not raised $20,000. So the senior warden and the junior warden, men of a certain age, one a burly construction worker, said they could choose any color they want for our hair. And we raised $20,000 in 2 weeks. And I learned a very important lesson. That as I went around the community in my collar and very striking metallic blue hair, people that didn't usually talk to me, people who were afraid of me when I had my collar on, they talked to me. Bridges come in unexpected ways and places. When I moved to Fort Worth, I changed my hair back to brown because the collar on a girl was enough at that point. But now, Fort Worth is in a place where the hair is back, and it's a good thing. And people are asking questions and engaging in conversations with me at places that I would not otherwise have the opportunity. What risk are you willing to take in the name of our loving, liberating, life-giving God to do something new, to build a bridge? I look forward to talking more with you about that this evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Well, I guess I have to begin by introducing my husband, Giovanni. I have to tell you that yesterday when we got to our first walkabout and the sun was streaming, we had not seen the sun in 2 weeks, and so we had to thank the folks there for that wonderful weather. And I thank you for cloudy weather, because it looks a little bit like Michigan, so thank you. One of the things that has inspired me about you and your diocese is the creativity and the innovation and that willingness that Episcopalians often don't want, change. That you're willing to risk and do something different and be hope-filled and to try different ways of following this Jesus person that we all try to follow in all kinds of different ways in different ministries. The drive down here was simply inspiring, to say the least. To go from the hills and see the migrant workers in the fields and, getting here and getting to the ocean. We had to go and put put our fingers in because we don't have oceans in Michigan. But the ministries and the work and the stuff that you are doing here really does reflect the best of what it means to follow Jesus. And so I thank you for being who you are. I thank you for sharing the gospel the way that you share it. And I thank you for just simply being faithful followers of Jesus. And I thank you for the opportunity to be able to discern the call to be your next bishop here in the Diocese of Altamira. So thank you.
I'm Lucinda, and I'm Canon to the Ordinary in the Diocese of Idaho. And a lot of people ask me what a canon does, and there's a whole list, so you can look at the materials and find that out. But one thing I will tell you is that in order to serve the diocese faithfully, I'm on the road 50% of the time. And that would not be possible without my husband, Bob, who is my best friend. He's my chief supporter, and he makes sure that I remember that life is about Sabbath and about playing Frisbee with the dogs. So that's the way we live. There are a lot of skills and gifts that can be talked about, but I want to talk to you tonight about what is underneath and around the skills and experience that I bring to this particular occasion. I am the child of United Methodist missionary parents, and with my siblings, I grew up in Latin America and northern New Mexico. Afortunadamente hablo español e inglés con fluidez, so I'm fortunate to be fluent in Spanish and English. And I was raised with my siblings in multicultural and multilingual environments. As a missionary kid, I am naturally very curious about missionaries and about missionary movements and what makes people tick. So for the past 25 years, Bob and I have gone up and down Camino Real, visiting and revisiting the California missions and learning about them. And I also recently reread the biography of Padre Níbero Serra. And when I did that, this time around, I was struck by the question, was the objective to be conquerors of souls or lovers of souls? See, I think the church now is called to be lovers of souls. The Diocese of El Camino Real is wonderfully full of layers of settlement and immigration and multiculturalism and multilingualism. And I hope you don't take that for granted, because in that lies great promise for the Episcopal Church. With missionary, you have come to a place that is healthy. And with health comes innovation and opportunity, which are qualities of the Pilgrim Church. The Pilgrim Church, which is the lover of souls. The Diocese of El Camino Real can help model this for the larger Episcopal Church, what it means to be a pilgrim church, to travel light, to stay in balance, to not be afraid to become lost. Because this journey we're on is an incredibly great and rich adventure, and it will take courageous leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you all candidates. Those were wonderful. There's one more thing, one more very important item that is among us today and has been with us from the very, very first meeting of the search committee. And it's this candle. I hope you can all see it. I'm trying to see it in the middle so you can see it. The candle on the middle of the altar. It has literally been present in every single meeting, either in person or virtual. You know, we do things by Zoom in this diocese now, so that we can bring people together. And that candle has been present in every single search meeting and every single transition meeting when we were all together. So, by the way, thank you. The one person I did not introduce at all today, I apologize. A very, very important part of the search committee is our chaplain. So Jeff, would you please stand up? He's been chaplain to the search and to the transition committees, and he's been so wonderful to have as our counselor, just to have a quiet time with us and know that he is constantly praying for us. So Jeff, thank you very, very much. All right, now we get to move into our small groups. The first session will start at 6:55, so you have approximately 10 minutes to move to your small group room. For those of you that are staying here in the church, if you're in the back, we ask that you move forward. And if I don't see you before, thank you for coming again. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you at hospitality time. Thank you very much.